Have you sometimes wondered what pronoun should you use in writing a sentence? Felt confused and lost with the correct term used in a sentence? Lexical and Grammatical category. What is an article? Articles are used before nouns or noun equivalents and are type of adjective. The definite article the is used before a noun to indicate that the identity of the noun is known to the reader. Here's an example of an article used in a sentence. Felix likes reading the book. By using the article, we've shown that Felix enjoys reading one specific book. The indefinite article a and an is used before a noun that is general or when its identity is not known. There are certain situations in which a noun takes no article. Here's an example of an indefinite article used in a sentence. Abby likes reading a book. By using the article a, we've created a general statement implying that Abby would enjoy reading any book. Another example of an indefinite article used in a sentence. Beth is preparing for an exam. By using the article an, we've created a general statement implying that Beth is preparing for a type of examination. There are two types of noun, the count nouns and non-count nouns. Count nouns refers to items that can be counted and are either singular or plural, while non-count nouns refers to items that are not counted and are always singular. In writing an article, we must remember these important rules. Rule number 1. Specific identity not known. Use the indefinite article a or an only when a singular count noun whose specific identity is not known to the reader. Use a before nouns that begin with a consonant sound and use an before sounds that begin with a vowel sound. Rule number 2. Specific identity known. Use the definite article the with any noun, whether singular or plural, count or non-count, when the specific identity of the noun is known to the reader. Rule number 3. All things or things in general. Use no article with plural count nouns or any non-count nouns used to mean all or in general. Now that we know the different types of article used in nouns, let us now understand what are the different cases used in grammar. What is case in grammar? Case shows a noun's or a pronoun's relationship with the other words in a sentence. There are 4 types of cases used in grammar. Number 1 is subjective case. Number 2, objective case. Number 3, possessive case. And number 4, vocative case. What is a subjective case? The subjective case is for a noun or pronoun that is the subject of the verb, the thing, or the person carrying out the action. For example, Felix likes reading the book. He is enjoying the story. The noun Felix is the subject of the verb read. Felix and he is the subjective case. What is an objective case? The objective case is used for nouns and pronouns that function as objects. There are 3 objects in the objective case: direct object of the verb, indirect object of the verb, and object of a preposition. Here's an example of direct object. The teacher is teaching her. The noun her is the direct object of the verb. The direct object is the thing being acted on by the verb. Here's an example of indirect object. The teacher gave her a pat on the head. The noun her is the indirect object of the verb gave. Her is the objective case version of she. Here's an example of object of a preposition. Simon is reviewing for his exam with his friends. He is writing the notes from them. Them is the object of the preposition from. them is the objective case version of they. The possessive case pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. With a noun, the possessive case is usually shown by preceding with of or by adding apostrophe s or just apostrophe to the end. Example of this would be Michael's and Maureen's. The possessive case pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. The possessive determiners are my, your, his, her, its, our, their, and whose. A possessive adjective sits before a noun or pronoun to show who or what owns it. What is a vocative case? The vocative case is used to show direct address or to show when you are talking to someone or something directly. In English, words in the vocative case are offset using commas. To help us further understand grammatical cases, please watch this video. Jack, get off. I know. To help us further understand grammatical cases, let us watch.
Loves the dog, the cat. Seems like an interesting sentence, but besides the questionable ethics of that, this sentence is kind of confusing. Let me explain how cases work. Before we explain cases, we have to go through the basics of word order again. The dog sees the cat. Let's make it a bit easier this time. And as you can see by the diagram here, the dog does indeed see the cat. We can split these into three parts. The dog, sees, and the cat. These three parts can be labelled differently. The verb is a doing word. That's one you may know from doing just school in general. And we can mark this with a V. V for verb, of course. Here's two you may not know, however. The dog, in this case, is the subject. The doer, the thing that does the verb. And we can mark that with an S. And the cat is an object, the receiver of the verb. Mark that with an O for object. We can also replace these with personal pronouns. There are many variations of word order. In English we use SVO, as you can see here. However, there are about 5 others. And some are more common than others. There is no specific order in this table. They're just interesting. He sees me is the default word order of English. And some other languages use he, me, sees, SOV. Other languages use something that's less common, such as sees, me, he. So through some example sentences, he, me, hears, eat, I, it, shoes, me, he, could be, you, it. We can determine 3 different parts. The verb, of course, is hears, eat, shoes, and could be. However, here's the fun part. We can actually determine from this which are the subject and object. Just by looking at it, you can probably figure out what the sentence should be in normal word order. The first one, he, me, hears. The he is the subject and me is the object. He hears me. The second one, I is the subject, it is the object. I eat it. The third sentence, he is the subject, me is the object, he shoes me. Fourth one, however, you can't really tell. This sentence could be one of 2 things. It could be you could be it. You could be the subject, and it could be the object, meaning the sentence is you could be it. However, this could also be reversed. This is because if we look at the pronouns of English, you and it, and also plural you, but that's not intended for the sentence, both have no distinction between subject and object, so it's hard to tell. However, you can still understand sentences, because English is completely word order based, and none of these really matter too much. They provide a bit of extra context, but they aren't necessary. However, we can also change something about this. We can change subject and object at the top of the table for nominative and accusative. These are the equivalent cases. So what are cases exactly, and what's the difference to word order? Well, there isn't much. Word order is obviously word order, however cases are different. They both show the relationships of object and a sentence, however. As we can see in this table, we have multiple different word orders, all being subject, verb, object, verb, etc. And we can tell what they mean just by looking at them, because we can tell the difference between he and me and automatically figure out what they mean. There are other ways, however, of discerning this. For example, if you had an object instead of he and me, like shelf and book, how do you add these cases onto the objects? You can probably use one of two ways. There might be more, I'm not sure. But two main ones are using affixes, such as prefixes, suffixes, infixes, etc., or particles. First, the affixes. The mouse eats the cheese is an example sentence I can use here. I'm going to firstly figure out what each part of the sentence means. The is the definite article. It's the. Mouse is the nominative case in this sentence. Eats is just the verb, and cheese is the accusative case. So let's have a dictionary of our language in the top left corner, and we can use that. Firstly, I'm going to translate the sentence literally. Just word for word, nothing special done here. However, because this sentence, for example, is going to be completely word orderless, it's going to be completely free, I can't exactly be having the there where it is. Because if I put the anywhere else in the sentence, it could be describing the cheese or anything else. So instead, we're going to prefix that to what it describes, the mouse. And I'm going to name this step as deal with stray words, because it doesn't really make a sense if it's anywhere else in the sentence besides describing the object. Next, we'll make some case affixes. In this case, nominative is going to be represented by on, and accusative by C. And I'm going to suffix them to the words. As you can see here, I've separated them by hyphens just so it's easy to see. Then I will join them like that. But let's say I don't want these double letters. Well, I'm just going to get rid of them, because it would probably still make sense. And here's our final sentence. I have marked t or the with grey just because it's there, and the suffixes in red. Te amanon umnatisi. The mouse eats the cheese. Let's go to particles. The mouse eats the cheese, we use the same sentence because we used to. And again, we will just describe these and have our dictionary. Firstly, again, write it out exactly the same as it should be. Instead of adding the to the mouse, I'm just going to leave it be, because this time we're going to have some sort of fixed word order or particles wouldn't work. Next, we'll figure out what our case particles are. I've used the same ones as before. And I will just put those after each word in the sentence as what I've decided. And there we go, that's our sentence there. What about other cases though? What if we don't want to use nominative and accusative all the time? Well, for example, instrumental can exist. I'll leave a link in the description to a list of cases that can be found in natural languages today. Normally, cases are added onto the noun they describe. So, for example, with an instrumental case, I cleaned it with a brush. The instrumental case is the with a part. It will replace that. It describes the instrument that you use to do something. So, I cleaned it brusher. That's quite something cool about that sentence. Others can also be dative. German speakers and learners will definitely know the pain of this. He gave a book to me can become he gave a book me's.